Share the Dignity had its beginnings in February of 2015 as I sat on my veranda on the beachside suburb of Shorncliffe reading an article by Mamamia about women and homelessness. It was an article that would change my life forever, because from it I learned an extraordinary fact. 55,000 women and children in Australia do not have a home to sleep in tonight, or tomorrow night, or next week. And it's hard to get your head around that. Picture Suncorp Stadium last week, the packed to the rafters for the State of Origin. That's 55,000 people. Now imagine they're all women and children with no home. What blew my mind further, and people need to hear this, is that these women don't have access to bathrooms, showers, or feminine hygiene products like pads and tampons. Instead, they are forced to make makeshift pads from toilet paper, old rags, socks and newspaper. And such obvious solutions are unhygienic and wholly inadequate. As if not having a bed and a home is not bad enough, can you imagine bleeding with no way to clean yourself up? The article left me in complete shock. How the hell was this happening in Australia? Share the Dignity began as a project to provide free tampons and pads to girls and women in this situation, and has grown into a massive network of committed volunteers seeking to not just address these women's homelessness, but also the broader cause of domestic violence. What began as me collecting, distributing 450 packets of pads and tampons has grown into a nationwide effort that has distributed 650,000 packets of pads and tampons since we started. So I'd like to share a story or two with you. Last week, while visiting a lower socioeconomic school in Melbourne, I met Sarah, a 14-year-old girl. She had got her period the week before, and without access to pads and tampons, Sarah had stained the back of her uniform. She was laughed at by the boys, and ran away from school, embarrassed, undignified and ashamed. But when Sarah got home, she called her mum to ask if she could pick her up some sanitary items on the way home from work, and her mum was instantly distressed. She had no money and was not being paid until Thursday afternoon. For 2 days, Sarah stayed home from school because she simply had no access to sanitary items. No doubt you'll all agree with me that educating our children is the most important thing a parent and greater society can do. And that's why I emphasise to you that this is not an uncommon scenario, and that more than 1 million girls and children live under the poverty line. A large number of them are using makeshift pads from socks, rags and wadded up toilet paper. And this is normal for them, as to is skipping school to avoid embarrassment of bleeding through their clothes. Then there's Mary. I met Mary on the Gold Coast at the Homeless Connect event. Mary is a 45-year-old woman. She was about this height, very tiny compared to this big bird. And at the time, Mary was living in her car with her 2 sons. Both of them were at school that day. Mary and her sons had been living with horrific domestic violence for over 8 years. And one night she just picked up the boys and they fled. With no money and little support, she was living in her car on the Gold Coast. Up there, she knew that she could barbecue for free on the beachfront, shower and swim there, and no one would pay any attention. Anything was better than living in the hell that she and her sons had endured. Mary cut up socks and towels, reusing them to deal with her period, and in Mary's words, $10 spent on tampons was better used feeding her boys. The Dignity vending machines that I want you to support is a world first. It's very pretty too, isn't it? The machine dispenses a free period pack, a small but precious box of 2 pads and 6 tampons, enough for a day and night at most. The vending machine will be installed with a 10-minute delay timer. This means that once a pack has been dispensed, another pack is not dispensed for another 10 minutes to avoid wastage. Share the Dignity has just installed 22 of these vending machines across Australia, and our vision is to install 50 by the end of this year. We earlier this year installed one in the living room in Hoysia Lane in Melbourne. It's a homeless hub for many men and women. This machine gives homeless women this facility, private and discreet access to sanitary items, where previously they would be forced to ask. This includes being forced to go to the counter and ask the male staff for a tampon, perhaps needing to ask them in a room full of mostly homeless men. Many women are too ashamed to do this. We need to shift the shame around periods, but research shows that still 60% of women will not ask for help. Installing these vending machines are restoring dignity for girls and women in need, meet their hygiene needs and allow them to care for themselves, aid them in returning to school, and no shame, just help yourself to a period pad. What's our impact? The 97,000 people on our Facebook page and social media all believe that access to sanitary items is a human right. But as each machine costs us $9,000 to install and stock, we need you to help us to share the dignity. So one machine at $9,000 will impact on hundreds of girls in a lower socioeconomic school, giving these girls the ability to attend every day of the month and from that a brighter future. The key to our future is educating our girls, who in turn to be women of the future. A further $9,000 will put a machine into an underprivileged school and into a domestic violence refuge, providing items to women in dire family situations, helps them on their first steps to breaking a pattern of violence that may well have existed for generations. And a further $9,000 will provide a third machine to a homeless hub, restoring dignity for girls and women in need. When I first read that life-changing article on my veranda, I didn't foresee that I would be forever referred to as the Pad Lady. And while it's not my first choice of nickname, I couldn't be prouder to have it, or to have founded an organisation that has attracted the most extraordinary network of volunteers. Together we've changed people's lives, changed each other's lives, and I need you all to come on board and help us to change some more. Through your generosity, you can help us to share the dignity with women and girls across Australia. Thank you.